stars in a rain. Man, I go hard like Santan.
Yes, people. Afternoon. Welcome back to another New Spurs Order episode. Actually, probably not afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time it is when you're listening or watching this. Welcome back to another episode of the NSO pod. Different cast composition today. The usual, the regular, Scott Hall. What are you saying, bro? How are you?
You know what? It's been a while that I've been consistent on the pod. The fans have been crying. You know, they don't want to see Toy Björk's face on a regular basis.
This name needs to die an ugly death.
That name is foul, bro. That name is foul.
Where have you plugged this? Where have you found this stupid name, bro? It pisses me off.
How can it be a stupid name when it's a name combined with your name and your favorite player? Yeah, all I've done is just marry them up together. I don't understand why are we beefing here? That's your guy. Pause.
Nah, he's not my guy. He's not my guy.
So now you've turned on him. Okay, look.
No, I haven't turned on him. He's not. Do you get what I'm saying? He's my boy, isn't it? He's my guy. Yeah.
Where's this relationship going between you and him? 1 minute you're off, next minute you're on. Make it up, bro. All I'm saying is the fans are happy to see me back, and I'm happy to see them back because I'm trying to educate them to calm themselves down. And I'm back, baby.
Welcome back, bro, and welcome back to Ash. We're still waiting on your name, bro. We're still waiting on your pod name. You still haven't locked it in. He's not locked it in. He never puts it on his.
He's trying to hide from
it. Wait, no, it hasn't been decided. I haven't really thought of it too.
Ash, don't let me go back into the chat because if I find it, you better put it in there. If I find it,
you man suggested some guy. I don't even know who he is.
I swear we gave you a name. Well,
but I don't know who the guy is.
Who do we suggest?
I can't remember. I can't remember the name, but it's someone I don't know.
Interesting, bro. Nevertheless, welcome back, bro. It's good to have you back. Listen, it's good to be back, man. We're actually previewing a game, which is something we couldn't do in the previous pod we did last week. Yeah, man. Spurs obviously were playing Crystal Palace this weekend, but I feel like we may as well touch through some of the things that have cropped up out of the woodwork over the course of the week. I think the most recent thing that we can talk about, though, is this LFA award, or these LFA awards, because we were discussing this in the chat the other day, literally just last night when the news broke. And we couldn't even figure out the criteria. Well, I couldn't figure out the criteria. So, Ash, you actually had a bit more insight on this one. So, talk us through when, like, what time range do they actually use to decide, like, who wins the award for, like, manager of the year, goalkeeper of the year, etc., etc.
So for me, it's like it says manager of the year. So for me, it surely is based on 2023.
I don't know, because if it's based on 2023, then
it can't be based on 3 months.
I think it's based from the season. I'll be real. From
the season, we're just over about probably what is it 2/3? We're just like over halfway. Like you can't really do that.
I'm with Ash. I don't think it's this season.
You can't really do like a season awards yet. It's way too early, bro.
I agree. I fully agree. But
I think it's for 2023, and I also think if that's the case, then it makes more sense as to why Ange won because of his Celtic exploits.
Yeah, but then it's like
it says London.
Yeah, but he's joined the London club. It's not his fault.
And you know what? Someone in another WhatsApp group I'm in, someone sent the list of the nominees, and it had their achievements next to their names. Now, for Andrew's achievement, it said something along the lines of plays exciting and attacking football.
That's fake.
Spurs.
I'm gonna Google this now, right? But either way, for the listeners, to give you a bit of background, so the London Football Awards were held last night. So February the 29th. And at the London Football Awards, Spurs picked up 2 awards. So Ange Postecoglou was given the Manager of the Year award, and Guillermo Vicario picked up the Goalkeeper of the Year award. Obviously, the former created a lot of noise and created a lot of chat on Twitter because there was some who were really happy for Ange, but I think the majority of us, me included, were just scratching our heads as to, okay, yes, great for Ange, but how has he won this award?
I don't think Ange really cares, bro. I don't think he cares.
He didn't at all. Like
He's thinking that this is some any award. Like
even when he did his press conference, he was like, I mean, it's odd. He called it odd. He said, I'm shocked, to be honest. Like it was a bit, I found it a bit odd. So he wasn't even expecting the award, right? But I'm glad about what he said afterwards, which was about the whole fact that like we're nowhere near. He literally said Spurs are nowhere near what he wants the team to look like, and we've got many years to sort of mold into the team that he wants, and we've got a lot of work to do. So at the very least, we can count on Ange Postecoglou to be grounded, not just about his job that he's done as Spurs manager, but where he wants this team to be. And I think that's what we want to hear as fans. But yeah, I'm interested to get your thoughts on Ange picking up that award.
I think it's a stupid award. Like I don't understand the whole concept of it. You know, like they haven't. I just think it's a stupid award, bruv. Like what are we doing here? It's just dumb. If it is for the season and you know they're talking about 2023, all right, cool, whatever, innit? But if it's just for this actual season, 2023 going into 2024, it don't make no sense. If you want my honest opinion, for a London-based club, it should have gone to Arteta.
I agree.
I think it should have gone David. I think if we're basing it on 2023, I think it should have gone David Moyes.
If it's just on 2023, nah, it still has to go to
Arteta. Arteta for me. Sorry.
I don't really care. Because then you're just giving it to them for like, oh, you know, because you didn't expect anything from you and you got something. Nah, it's really and truly should be what you've done in the league. Cup games are just, you know, additions.
I hear it. I hear what you're saying, and I hear what you're saying, but he has won West Ham their first trophy in God knows how long.
In all my life.
He did, but he won it. He won it in the third tier European competition,
and nobody cares for it.
And he won it in the third tier European competition, where West Ham were probably one of the strongest teams. Now, not trying to take anything away from them because they still played and knocked out teams that were on
that they shouldn't have.
Exactly, that were on an either equal or higher footing than West Ham. But ultimately, what Arteta did last year, I can't believe we're doing flipping Arsenal prop on a Spurs pod. But what Arteta did last year gazumps what he did, in my opinion. And what Arteta's done this season gazumps what Ange has done. So really and truly, it's a head scratcher as to how Ange has won that. But we'll take it nevertheless, and we can let the Arsenal fans get themselves rattled and twisted up into a bunch about that. But lads, talk to me about Vicario.
For me, it's like the media just need to stop doing this now, man. Like we know why he's won it. He's won it because he's the most media-friendly guy, right? Everyone loves him, right? He talks well. Do you know what I mean? The glazing has got a strong...
You know what? Speak on it more, because I do also I do also hear this as well. Like I really do. Like I love Ange, but I also feel like people.
No, this isn't his fault.
Too much.
The media just embarrass him, bro. Like the constant glazing over this guy. Let him cook, let him try to do his thing. Like stop putting like there's so much like hype thrown on him from the media, and like we know how it's gonna, like we know what how they're gonna kind of play this out. They're gonna create this hype and be like, oh, he's won these awards. It's like, well, no, you've given him these awards, you're putting this expectation on him now. But the reality is this is his first job in a serious league, right? So I think people just need to relax. He's done a decent job so far, and just let him cook. And like, this constant media nonsense, it's embarrassing, bro. Honestly, man.
Yeah, man.
What Ash said is actually quite rude. You know, like there is this perception, which is fine. You know, I guess it is football in general.
I'm not trying to be harsh towards him, but
not towards Ange. I know you're not being harsh towards Ange, but there's this serious perception in football. You know that if it's not done in Europe or in one of the say, top 5 European leagues, then nothing you've really done elsewhere can be considered quite serious. And I understand that because of the way football has gone over the last 20 years or so. But essentially, some of the best managers came from the leagues that we consider to be the weakest. You know, Ferguson came from Scotland, even though Aberdeen had quite some pedigree. It weren't considered a strong. It's never been considered a strong league. Flipping Arsene Wenger came from Japan. You know, some of these like
what I mean is I don't want to like rub out his achievements because that's him, innit? But what I'm saying is that this is the first like league where it's a different kettle of fish compared to what he's used to.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
But yeah, what he's achieved is what listen, I don't really know too much in like obviously the biggest one that stands out for me is the winning the Asia Games of Australia, right? Which I'm pretty sure that's their only ever trophy that they've won. So yeah, that one stands out for me. But yeah, man, I think the media just needs to just lay off a little bit.
Yeah, I think the point about like the build up, that's the one that resonates with me the most, and I've mentioned that on my channel and I've mentioned that on here before. So I hate when the media do that because you can see the nasty work at play. They'll give people unnecessary clout and awards and they'll prop you up for doing the bare minimum in some cases.
And you know what?
They'll use it and beat you down when you go through a rough patch because you saw
that's what they'll do. They'll build you up to beat you down.
Yeah,
they do that with all sports. To be fair, you know.
No, they do. That's just the media in general, isn't it?
Yeah, they're a nasty bunch of work.
But anyway, let's talk on Vicario's one before we move on to some of the other talking points. Vicario won goalkeeper of the year. You know what? This one, I'm like, I don't really know the criteria, but whatever the criteria is, let me have that. Let me have that.
He's better than both Areola and what's his name, Ramsdale.
He's been better than Raya this season. He's been better than Areola. He's been better than Flecken. He's been better than.
Been better than Ramsdale last season.
Yeah. And Ramsdale won.
That one was a no-brainer for me. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I saw on Twitter, innit? Some guy posted that a while ago. Some lady came into the number 8 pub, yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Go on. I saw this.
Yeah, some guy just posted. So I think it was a while ago during one game. He was like, some woman came up to us saying that she was Vicario's mum, and obviously people saw the photo at the award ceremony with his parents. I believe it was his mum and dad.
Yeah.
And then they quote tweeted it, and then obviously in their head they're thinking, shit, that was actually his mum. She looked like she was waved. I can't lie.
Yeah, she did. She looked like she was having a good time at the number 8, man. But anyway, big up to Vicario as well, man. He deserved that. I think if anything, I'll be real. Because of the way we've defended in recent weeks and months, to be fair, we've given him a bit too much work to have to get through in a lot of these games. But big up to him anyway. He's been fantastic for us.
You know what? It's mad, like, bro, you never know who's around you. Like, like when man are just like ripping into Brendan Johnson's, oh, Johnson, this, that, bro. Like, imagine if it's like his brother, like his sibling, or his dad is like around,
giving them hell, you know.
Can you imagine? Here's a scenario. Can you imagine Werner's brother or mum even chilling in any sort of congregation of Spurs fans? And about Werner. Oh.
Bro, do you know what I saw the other day? Yeah, I can't remember what away game it was, but they panned the camera, and I saw it on Twitter. It was the Forest fans that realized that Brendan Johnson's dad was in the away stand, and he had a Spurs scarf on. So it just makes me think, like, like sometimes you're just at a game and you're just in the stand, just slating a player like you shit, bro. Yeah. Like his dad could be right behind you.
It's true. Right?
Real insults.
It's true. Fans are tribal anyway, man. But it's football, man. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a bit too harsh, but it's football. Speaking of football, let's get back onto our team, man, because obviously Crystal Palace this weekend, Glasgow Ball, we saw it last week. They beat Burnley. Not really going to hype that up too much. Burnley were down to 10 men, and Burnley have been, quite frankly, an apology of a Premier League side this season. Imposters, absolute imposters. But nevertheless, they're coming to our ground with a bit of renewed optimism. Eze's back fit, new manager in the dugout, and he starts his first game off with a 3-0 win and a clean sheet. So they're going to be buoyant. But I feel like, in my opinion, this has to be business as usual for Spurs. I don't know where your heads are at in terms of this fixture. Like, are you nervous or are you confident? Like, speak to me. Yeah, you go first.
I don't understand where this nervousness has crept in. You know, like I get it. Yeah, we've had problems this season. You know, and we've obviously created some of our own problems. But essentially, we're at home. We beat them at their ground. You know, I swear when we beat them at their ground, we had problems leading into that game, and we still got the job done. And we look quite comfortable with it. We're at home. There's no reason to really be panicking. We should really be quite, confident that we're going to get the job done. The only problem I have here, is, people talking about, the whole new manager bounce and all that kind of stuff, which, all right, cool, makes sense. But it's not happening like we're going to their ground and it's new manager bounce. It's like we are at home. Yeah, flipping, like, have some pride. We'll get the job done.
Ash, where do you stand on this?
Do you know what is? Like with new managers and that, you never know what to expect. Obviously, there's that phrase "new manager bounce." Yeah, but bro, like for me, we're at home. We have, bro. Like we haven't had. We need to have a convincing win, and I'm looking at this game, thinking like these players need to step up.
Yeah, they do.
Am I nervous in the sense that I don't think we're going to lose? But am I confident that we're going to win? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Because the thing is, bro, like, the way I look at our games, I don't know if we're going to turn up or not. Like, the last couple home games, Wolves was Wolves. Didn't turn up. Brighton didn't really turn up. So you never really know, bro. I'm going into games these days not knowing what Spurs I'm going to expect. So
I can understand why you say that, but I can't lie. I don't agree in terms of like not knowing what Spurs to expect, and it's a shame because I think the team's fluency in I would say over the last 2 months has contributed to that. So I don't think you're just making it up out of thin air. I think we've actually seen visibly the team go through spells.
There's reasons for it, yeah. Of course there is.
Yeah, no, I agree, and even the fast starts as well. We're not really seeing. I would say the last probably 2 or 3 games, we've not even really seen the fast starts. So I get why you're saying that, but I mean, Crystal Palace at home.
Don't get twisted. Like, obviously we're better than them and all over the park. But it's the onus is on us. It's like, okay, you're better, but you have to go there and you have to outperform them and you have to win.
Absolutely, and I think we will. Man. And let me just give you some stats as well. So, Crystal Palace have scored 1 goal at our ground in the last 9 years. They've come to this ground in the league.
Why did you have to mention that now?
No, I'm just mentioning it now. So, because I was doing some reading, right?
They've scored what? Sorry,
they've only scored once in the last 9 years. They've played us at our ground.
That's insane.
In the league, they've only scored once, right? They've lost 8 games straight at our ground, right? They've lost 8 games straight at our ground. They've not beaten us in the league in God knows how long. I'm looking at
the last one that they beat us was the Nuno 3-0 at their ground. Yeah,
that's their ground. I'm talking strictly at our ground. At our ground. Their ground is different story. At our ground, is peak for them. Their record against us when they come to our ground is super duper peak.
Long may it continue.
Yeah, honestly, long may it continue, man. Yeah, man. I'm just looking at this. And I feel like, to your point, Ash, we're definitely going to have to take the game to Crystal Palace, and I think we will. Let's be real. We know what type of Palace side will set up at our ground. Obviously, it's not Roy Hodgson, but we played a Glasner side last season. Frankfurt, was he not managing Frankfurt last season? We played a Glass. I'm pretty sure he was when they came to our ground and they lost 3-2. He came to our ground last year. They were getting peppered in the first half. The minute they go down to 10 men in the second half, all of a sudden we stop playing and invite waves and waves of pressure. But I'll be real, man. I'm looking at the players we have available: Maddison, Son. We'll talk on the players, of course, that are missing. But for the players that are fit, Maddison, Son, Sarr, Romero, Van de Ven, Basuma, like there's Lo Celso, Kulusevski, like there is absolutely no excuse that Spurs have to not get 3 points against Crystal Palace this upcoming weekend.
Bro, forget 3 points, man. I'm dying for a convincing win, bro. Like, I'm dying for a 3-0, 3-1, 4-1. Like, it's been too long, man. We need to get a convincing win. Even Maddison said it the other day. He said we're dying for a 3-0 win. I'm dying for a 3-0 win. I'm dying for a clean sheet.
I hear you.
We need to
I think it's more people wanting a clean sheet, because in terms of convincing victories, I've said it in the group. I'm quite buoyant on the fact that, you know, when we beat Brentford, outside of the problems we created ourselves, I wasn't worried about that game. So for me, it's like, all right, cool. I hear what everyone's saying, but I feel like some people are just being too harsh, you know, and expecting things. Like, there has been a crazy load of disruption this season, like actually stupid amounts of disruption this season. So I'm just like, all right, cool. Let's take our time in it and get back to, like, I guess what we were in the beginning of the season, because that's probably the only time when people weren't trying to inadvertently cuss us.
Also, I want to see certain strong individual performances from certain players.
Let's talk on that. Let's talk on that.
Yeah, Maddison. I want to start seeing these guys come back into form. Maddison's one of them. Basuma's one of them. Benton Court, if he plays, is one of them. So yeah, it would be nice to see some of these guys, you know, getting back into form.
I would say Son as well. Obviously, since he's come back, he's not. So I know he's only played twice, but he's not scored in 2 appearances. So we want to see him get back to scoring ways as well. I'm to be fair, I'm actually siding. I'll be real. I'm siding with Ash on this one. I really want to see and I'm not just saying convincing in terms of creating chances. I'm saying I want to see a convincing game in terms of dominance. Like, I don't want to see us give Crystal Palace much. And I know it goes without saying that with the way we play, we're inevitably going to have opportunities where they're going to have opportunities in the counter. But I mean, territorial advantage, camped in their box. I want to see like over 20 attempts at their goal. Like, I actually want to see us pepper Crystal Palace. Like, I need to see that.
Like a performance to, you know, get everyone's kind of confidence going. You need that kind of, do you know what I mean?
And I fully agree with the players that you mentioned as well that need to pick up form. Basuma's the key one for me. I think
Definitely.
He's 100%. The key. Go on, now. You wanted to speak on this?
Yeah, because like the problem with Basuma is, like, we spoke about it in the last pod, so it's nothing new. But one of the biggest issues I've had with him is, well, he had a poor game against Luton, got sent off, so didn't play in the Chelsea game. Then comes back, you know, doesn't really perform, gets sent off again, but this time, you know, misses, you know, X amount of games or whatever. I think it was 1 extra game. Comes back into the team, poor performances again, then gets a straight red, yeah, which meant to a 4-game ban, and then comes back, the Brighton game, if I'm sure. Like, and we just haven't seen what we saw from him in the first 9 games since the 10th, the 9th game of the season. We're in game week 27. That's a long time to be out of form. Even if you take away the suspensions, that's a very long time to not give us any sort of confidence. He needs for the last 11, 12 games of this season, he needs to go absolutely ballistic, because it's hard to defend now. Now people are going to be looking at him being like, all right, yeah, cool. Yeah, when you're on job, you're a great number 6. Yeah, but when you're not, sod that. People really want a destroyer, somebody who's just going to be reliable. And that's what he's not been.
You have to be reliable. You have to be reliable.
100.
And you know what? I think I might. I don't know if I said it on this pod or not, or in another group chat. But I remember when we signed Bissouma all them years ago, right? And one of my good mates is a Brighton fan, and he was telling me like, because obviously everyone was gassed and excited, and I was gassed when we signed him, and he was telling me, he was like, bro, like the Bissouma that you, because I'll be honest, I wasn't watching every Brighton game, right? I wasn't really watching him like that. I was just watching the odd game, like when Brighton are playing a big team here and there, right? So for me, I considered him a top player in the league. And he was telling me, he was like, bro, he has serious consistency problems. And he says that he'll go through periods where he'll have great spells. And then he says he'll go through periods where it's just like, it's chalk and cheese. Like, it's a complete contrast of the player that he's shown. And he said he's got consistency problems. And then he says he then starts to become, my mate was saying he starts to have this real casualness to his game, where he just starts playing the game real casually. Like you feel that he's not really getting into games. And I just like let it go. I was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, you're Brighton, do you know what I mean? It's different level, right? Now I was even saying to him the other week, I was like, now I actually get what you're saying. And he was like, he was saying to me, he's like, this is what I was trying to tell you, but you didn't want to listen. So now I get where he's coming from. Yeah, now I get where he's coming from. So we got to see. But for me, I agree with what y'all said. For me, Bissouma for the next, 11 games left? 11, 12, 13, something like that. Yeah, for whatever games is left, there cannot be no more sending offs. Yeah. And he has to finish the season strong, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't, right, if he finishes the season, kind of casualness and whatnot, then obviously we can't decide. But I would be questioning him being on number 6 next season if he finishes the season in the same form.
You mean like starting number 6?
Yeah.
Basically. No, to be honest, I think it's fair, man. I actually think it's fair. Honestly, I really do, because as much as I love Bissouma, we're gonna be playing more than one game a week next year, and for whether it's form, whether it's sending offs, etc., like nobody can doubt his ability. Nobody can doubt what he brings Tottenham. But the problem is, when you're not dependable, it becomes an issue for Spurs. And if you are meant to be one of our key players and you can't show us that you can be dependable, then it means that we're going to have to go into the market and get someone else who can either give him a kick up the backside or take his spot. And me personally, even if Bissouma finishes strongly, we should be looking to reinvest into that position. Personally,
I agree.
That's the only way we can start bridging the gap to the teams ahead of us. Like, imagine having a player like Bissouma who isn't even, his place in the team isn't even guaranteed. Like, and he's a quality player, and his place in the team is not guaranteed. Like, that's what makes great squads. That's what makes great squads.
And the thing is, I've stressed this before, of the importance of that position. Like, when you play the way we play, that position is so important. So that player needs to be at it. And obviously it comes down to what we want the team is irrelevant, right? Because we know Ange has come out and said that he wants this team to be winning things. He wants his team to be challenging at the highest level, right? So you need to have players, especially in these important positions, that are going to allow you to do that. So I'm looking at Bissouma thinking, if you continue the season like this, and next season this is what we want to be doing in terms of challenging, I'm looking at it and thinking, are you the guy that's going to help us do that?
Fair. It's fair. Honestly, it's fair. It's actually fair.
Maddison, he's another one. Needs to get, but obviously, he come back from injury. So I'm not getting onto him too much, but it would be nice to see him kind of slowly start to show signs of that early form that he was in the season.
I'm not gonna lie. I think he has shown signs. I think
Brentford. He had a good game against Brentford. I thought people were harshing him with the Brentford game. I thought he played, especially that second half. I thought he played well.
I thought he played well, but I get
second half. Everton was so. Wolves was just.
Wolves was his worst game.
Huh?
Wolves was his worst game in a Spurs shirt.
Everyone was poor in that game. Everyone, right? There was maybe one or two good performances in the Wolves game, right? So yeah, those are the two main ones for me. Bentancur, if he plays, obviously with him, he's coming back from two serious, an ACL then an ankle ligament tear. So for him, obviously it's more so, just
Riven.
keep yourself fit, and then we'll see next season.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of players, we're looking at a lot of players to play like they got a point to prove in this running as well. And I think players will start to pick up in terms of like not even just like playing well, but like the best version of themselves. I think a name that we've not mentioned is Kulusevski. I know he scored against Wolves, but he's been awful in my opinion over the last couple of weeks. I think he's been really, really bad. So he's another one that we're looking for their form to sort of pick up. But let's move on to the players that aren't going to play, right? And we need to try and understand where that leaves us in terms of how we set this team up. So looking at the news that's obviously dropped today, and just confirmed that Richarlison is going to be out for the next 3 weeks minimum. Who would have thought that this would be a blow for Spurs, but it is a blow for Spurs. So Richarlison is injured. Where does that sort of leave you guys then in terms of the front three and who should start? So yeah, I want to get your thoughts here. What does the Richarlison injury mean for us over the next couple of weeks, knowing that we have Aston Villa, let me even see, Aston Villa, Fulham, 1 second. Yeah, Aston Villa, obviously Crystal Palace this weekend, Aston Villa, Luton at home and Fulham away. These are potential games he could miss. Where does that leave us as a team in terms of how we go about approaching the game, and which front three would you go with to start, not just against Crystal Palace, but which front three would you prefer to see for the foreseeable until he's back?
Give me the run through again. So it's Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa away.
So Crystal Palace at home, he's going to miss. Aston Villa away next week, he's going to miss. And Fulham away, he's going to miss, but he could be back for Luton.
So I know it's definitely going to be Son playing up top, unless there's a curveball and it's Scarlet, which I doubt. But I expect it to be Son. I expect the front three, although let me make this very clear to everybody, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. But I expect the front three to be Werner, Son, and Kulu. Because I'll be honest with you, even though Johnson could probably play both sides and might even get the shout, I just don't feel like this is the season where he should really just be, coming off the bench, watching and seeing how Ange wants him to play, and taking this as a kind of like learning season as opposed to throwing him in the deep end, and giving us what we've received so far. So I think it will be Werner, Son, Kulu, and I don't like either of the wide players in that front three that I just mentioned, because Kulu out wide, I've had enough of it. I think if I'm being brutally honest, what he showed me in the 10 fills me with more joy than what I've seen out wide, because he's just too shot shy, and when he does shoot, it's some next to nothing power shot. So I don't like it, but it might have to work. But I will say this: as much as I don't like Werner, play style wise, because he doesn't fill me with confidence. Son being up top, Werner on the left, there could be something there. It could sustain us. And the only reason I say that is because Werner does this weird kind of take on and tries to play. It doesn't come off much, but he tries to cut back / flash it across the box. And Son's movement in the box is a blood fire one. Yeah, I'm not going to deny that. His movement in the box is ridiculous. And so if Werner can, link up well with him, then I guess we can sustain those 3 games. If you want my honest opinion, we should be winning all 3 of those games. The only team that should really scare me is Aston Villa away. That's it. I don't see why Fulham, even though Fulham have had a great season, should be scaring us. And I most certainly don't see why Crystal Palace at home should be giving us any sort of help. And if he misses the Luton game, that's another team that I do. How dare you? How dare you think you can travel 45 minutes from your ground to our ground in Tottenham, yeah, and think, yeah, you're just gonna mash works, and your name is Luton? Are you all right? People have to go through people's houses, yeah, to get to your bloody stand. You must be mad. Now, if we lose to Luton, if we even draw with Luton at home, I'm gonna do a madness. I can feel it. I'm gonna do an utter madness. Yeah, because how are you letting that cesspit come down to your flipping ground and mash works? It doesn't make sense. So no, I don't think we should be struggling. Son in the 9, we've seen what happens. I don't think Son coming back onto the left-hand side really worked, if you want my honest opinion, since he's returned from international duties. Even when he went back onto the left towards before the end of the year, I didn't really think it worked. Richarlison would be a miss because he's a focal point, and he actually has done very well the last few games in holding up play and linking up with players. Like, he's done fantastic. That's not Son's game. But what Son can do is obviously stretch the pitch. And therefore, we should be capable of causing teams enough problems. But as always, the team I support always wants to find a way to piss me off. Yeah. And so that is very likely. Do you know what I actually want Ange to do? This might sound mad. I want him to keep the same midfield. The midfield that we started the season with, basically. So Maddison, Bissouma, and Sarr. And then I actually want him to tell Kulu to be a free role. If Kulu wants to drop into the 10, drop into the 10 and let Maddison go out to the wide position. That's what I want. Because honest to God, Kulu's pissing me off. Yeah, like as good at, and I don't think he's been poor this season, by the way.
He's had an okay season, but as of late, I agree. He's been like unwatchable for the most part.
Let the shots fly. Like I said in the last podcast, yeah, the goal he scored against Wolves, I think he scores it because he doesn't even get any true conviction on the ball. That's the only reason I think he went to the back of the net. So you mean to tell me if he got conviction on it, would have been saved? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. So yeah.
I think I agree with you with unfortunately, I agree with you in terms of what front three he would play. I just my spirit just can't take to Werner, but it's obviously going to be Son up top. Kulu undisputed on that right hand side, whether we like it or not. And I fully agree with you with Brennan Johnson being an off the bench player because he's not good enough to be starting regularly for Spurs. Let's just call it what it is. He's not good. He's not good enough to be starting regularly for Spurs. And it's a sad state of affairs that Kulusevski could be playing as bad as he's playing, and we still don't have the confidence that Brennan Johnson can come and take his spot and start routinely. But I'm with you on the midfield continuity. I think we need to get to a point now where the same midfield are playing over and over and over like they did early on. But Ash, I'm going to ask you a different question now because I don't want to keep it on the front three. I know obviously you have your thoughts on Werner and co and Richie. But I want to talk on the defense or just how the team should sort of set up in terms of their shape because Pedro Porro, he's not going to make it this week. So he's going to miss the game against Crystal Palace. Destiny is potentially touch and go, but they said he's trained all week. So I would assume that he will start against Palace. We obviously saw when we played against Wolves, Ange brought Davies and Emerson into the team, but of course it wasn't hitting the same as it did with Destiny and Porro expectedly in the inverted roles. So with how bad Davies and Emerson basically implemented the inverted fullback roles, where would you not even where? How would you set this team up this weekend? Like, would you change the shape?
Oh, this is what baffled me about Ange last week. It's like, have you got no more tricks up your sleeve? Like, bro, it's clear to see, right? And we said it in the group chat that it's clear to see, like Emerson doesn't suit that way of playing, right? It's not really his fault. Like that's just not. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, I get it. I'm not really Emerson's biggest fan, but at the end of the day, you're putting someone in a position to do something you know he can't do. You're playing someone to their weaknesses. Like, I don't understand it, bro. Like, me personally, I've never seen a manager in this league invert both fullbacks. I've never seen it. I've seen one. I've never seen two. Right? What I would do is, I would probably like I'd keep Emerson in the team, right? But I just
Don't invert.
there's no need to invert both of them. If you got three midfielders, you don't need to invert both of them. You can find a way to play it, bro. Arteta does it. Pep does it. They tend to only really invert one fullback. So for me, you obviously got to play Emerson, but just don't task him with doing things that you know that is not in his game, because the fans are going to get onto his back. The crowd will get frustrated. Like, bro, it's just like, come on, man. It's just common sense, bro. Like, it's just don't work.
I think you've made a good point there, and I think that's one of the things that I was really disappointed about against Wolves. Ange could see that Emerson was just getting his pockets picked every single time, coming into midfield areas and struggling, and you didn't want to do anything to change it. I think with Destiny back in the team, potentially it definitely does help, because he can invert and he does it much better than Emerson and Davies put together, to be honest. But it means that Emerson, you let him play as a conventional right back. That's what he does best. Let him play as a conventional right back. Let him be up against his opponent. And then I think, if anything, if we decide to play with a four at the back, use him as an overlap or underlap option, man. Crystal Palace, we know what they're gonna do. They're not gonna
exactly. There's no, like, bro. There's no need. You've got three man in midfield, right? You've got Kulu who can, drop in,
yeah,
right. Madison can come into deeper positions, right? Like, there's no need. There's no need.
And so I think, go on. Sorry.
For me, this is where the manager's got to show another side to him.
Yeah, and I think to Ange's credit, he's definitely shown flexibility this season and where he wants to pick players and put players and ask and their instructions. So I don't know. I think there's a bit of reluctance when it comes to his use of the fullbacks, and I'm hoping that he can sort of tweak it, because not inverting one of the fullbacks or even both of the fullbacks does not mean that you have to change your entire game plan. It really doesn't. You can still play a high pressing game. You can still push the defensive line forward. Okay, great. You may not have the numerical superiority that you want in the midfield, but you can still find ways to make it work. But that was one point. So I think that answers my question in terms of how it could look if we were to play the same formation we've played this season. But has anyone thought of potentially playing a different formation? So
I don't think we should change up the formation.
Okay, hear me out. So this is one that was pitched to me twice this week.
Let me guess, right? Back three of
Van der Ven, Van der Ven, Romero, Dragusin, Kulusevski wing back, Destiny wing back, and then Saar, Basuma in the midfield with Madison slightly ahead, and then you play the two up top in Werner and Son. It's an option.
I would like to.
I'm not mad at it.
It would be nice to see the manager thinking of different ways to utilize every player's strengths in this team, right? Yeah. Rather than just saying, Emerson, go and do what I know you can't do. Maybe not. It doesn't have to be a back three, right? Could be a back four, but just change the instructions slightly, right? I don't mind back four, back three, but I think the way Van der Ven and Romero play, I think it makes slightly more sense to stay with a back two, right? I'm not against the back three, but I think it makes more sense to keep it as it is. Just change the instructions a little bit.
Yeah, you're shaking your head. You don't like that suggestion at all. Go on. Listen, why not?
I don't mind a manager who's been at a club 2, 3, 4 seasons changing his original tactic or his philosophy in between games or during games. I have no problems with that. You can switch it up as many times as you want. But any manager
that come, especially in this day and age of football, any manager that comes into a team and says, yeah, this is my philosophy, this is how I want to play football, this is how I expect my team to play football, has to actually have a level of stubbornness, yeah, that I can respect. So far, Ange has that. Until he changes it, so far he has that. Even Arteta down the road did the same thing. Pep, same. Klopp, even though most fans would try and argue that Klopp came and changed his stuff, they all stuck to a particular philosophy that they brought into whatever club they went to. Ange has come in. This is his first season with this batch of players. This is their first entire season with this manager. There's no point of even changing it at this point of the season. He literally has to stick to his guns. Why? Because by the end of the season, no matter where we finish in the league, so I'm not talking about top 4, top 5, all of this stuff, and people saying we need Champions League. Forget all of that. No matter where we finish in the league, by the end of the season, every single player in that squad that's in this current squad right now that's played a full season would have had an entire season's worth of knowledge of this particular philosophy. That's not only in training, but in game management against every single team in the league, home and away, without fail. Now you get into the summer, you go into preseason, and you're like, all right, we did this against Wolves, and this went completely tits up. This is the tactic that we're going to start implementing with the philosophy that you guys already know if we come up against this again. And that's how you tweak. And when you go into that second season, all those teams that you face, the 19 other teams that you face, they'll be like, yeah, Spurs are going to play this particular way because we know they're going to play this particular way. But what they won't be prepared for is the fact that you've had that base that they're all prepared for, but now you've got new tweaks that you've been practicing throughout preseason for these particular teams. And now it's like, all right, cool, we weren't prepared for that. Now we've got 19 home and away games, 38 games in total, of just confusing our opposition. And that could take us further up the league than it ever will. Right now, we're in a position where we play a particular way. Every single team knows we play a particular way. If we are like on job, in particular in a match, yeah, we will smash teams apart. I.e., when Newcastle came to our ground, they got absolutely harammed, yeah? However, when it doesn't go our way, yes, we're going to have games like we did against Wolves, or even manic games like we did against Aston Villa where we should have won. But this is the part and parcel of like us having to go through an entire season of a brand new manager and a brand new philosophy. If we start chopping and changing, to me personally, that's the manager telling me and telling every single player that's in the squad, he doesn't believe in his own philosophy. It doesn't. So I understand what Ash is saying in the sense of like telling Emerson to kind of drop. That part is fine. But changing the formation, yeah, must be mad. I don't want to see a 3-4 or 3-5. I don't want to see none of that till the next season. Next season, if we're like winning, I don't know, 2-3-0 in a game, and he's like, yeah, 45 minutes are up, switch that 3-5-2. Like, or we're coming up against, I don't know, who gave us hell in up, like maybe a United, because they're iffy team to face. Come up against a United, and he's like, you know what, I don't really like the kind of control United had in the midfield against us last season. Let's go to a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 and, you know, give them absolute hell. That part I can understand. But when you're doing it at this point of the season, game week 25, game week 26, you're just telling me you don't believe in yourself. You know what happened? Last season, we did this around this same time period. Yeah. Fans weren't happy with the 3-5, whatever it was, formation that Conte did. Stellini said, all right, cool. I'm going to switch it to a 4-3-3 or whatever he did. And we sat there and watched Newcastle absolutely smash us to bits. In half an hour, I swear it was like 4-0. So what do you want me to have to go through? Again, believe in your philosophy. And, or Postman, as you've been nicknamed by me, a.k.a. Scott Hall, you know what I'm saying? I coined that, so take time. Bruv, stick to your philosophy. Don't be changing anything right now, because if you do, I'll be the first man at the doorstep to give you a crazy clothesline from hell. So don't do it.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough, man. I do actually echo a lot of your thoughts.
I hear that logic, which is why I said I prefer to stick with a back four, because Romero, Van der Ven, they know the partnership, they know the instructions, right? All of a sudden, you throw another defender next to them, it's like, do you know what I mean? We don't have, in terms of changing the formation, that's a big experiment, right? And I don't think right now we obviously we need to try and get top 4 and try pick up points. I don't think there's time for experiments too much. Pre-season they can go ahead and do what they want, but I think keep the back 4. I'll just change the way he uses those fullbacks. I don't think that should be too much of a change to how we really play.
Fair. Listen, I hear both sides. Me personally, I wouldn't even be mad if he did that, just to even give Dragusin a game, right? And you're not really comfortable with putting him in a back 2 or whatever. But same way, I completely agree with Yao in terms of Ange drilling his style, his methodology, his philosophy into the team. So I'll probably side more with the first opinion, which is either play a back 4, just change the instruction of Emerson. Simple. Anyway, guys, we're coming up to the end of the pod, so I'm gonna get your match predictions. What are you going for this weekend against Crystal Palace? Ash, I'm gonna start with you.
I am going to go for. I'm just trying to think who they've got. I'm probably gonna go 2-1 to Spurs.
2-1. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with Ash on this. I think it'll be 2-1. I think we score first and they equalize.
I'm not gonna lie.
I got a feeling that Jordan Ayew. I don't know why. I got a feeling Ayew's gonna score.
Destiny's playing this time. So none of that business. Destiny didn't play in the reverse fixture. So Destiny's playing this time. So I'm fairly confident that he's gonna keep a lid on Jordan Ayew. Me personally, dare I say, I'm gonna go for a 2-0. I'm gonna go for a clean sheet. I think we got it in us to get a clean sheet today. I'm gonna go for a very deserving 2-0 result. And I think that's us today, lads. Ash, Yao, aka Scott Hall, thanks for giving us and our viewers and / listeners the time on this week's pod. Appreciate you guys. For those who are still watching or listening, make sure you subscribe to us across all socials. That's New Spurs Order, one word, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok as well. And make sure you're subscribed to all the Touchline socials as well. So Touchline Fracas on one word, on Instagram, on Twitter, and I think on TikTok as well. I think we are on TikTok. Yes, definitely on TikTok. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, make sure you give us a 5-star review as well. If you're watching on YouTube, just drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts as well. Man, them. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Hopefully Spurs win.
Have a good weekend, man.
Take care. Peace out and up Spurs.